America's auto industry is being forced into one of the most dramatic realignments in decades. It's not because of electric vehicles, new emissions mandates, or the latest design trends. This time, the shift is driven by tariffs. Now, according to a new report from Anderson Economic Group, U.S. automakers have already paid more than $10 billion in tariffs this year on vehicles and parts imported from Canada and Mexico. That's not a typo. $10 billion and counting. These costs are not just numbers on a balance sheet. They're reshaping where companies build, how they source materials, and even which vehicles Americans will be able to buy in coming years. The Anderson report, called A Price Tag on Globalization, that was released on October 16th, offers a detailed look on how trade policy is rippling through the automotive economy. Between January and July of 2025 alone, the automakers incurred $6.45 billion in duties on North American imports because they've been building everything in other countries. But by the end of October, that figure is projected to exceed $10.6 billion. And that is being factored in to the full number for the year, which is going to be obviously much higher. Patrick Anderson, the CEO of the company, emphasizes that this number still understates the real cost. It only includes two major categories of vehicle imports and excludes separate tariffs on steel, aluminum, and imports from Europe and Asia. That means the real financial hit that could significantly be higher for all the car makers. It's a reality check that's already affected corporate strategy and consumer prices, and we've covered that on our channel, that the average price of a car is now $50,000. During an April White House press event announcing the reciprocal tariff policy, Trump declared, "If you want your tariff rate to be zero, then you build your product here in America, because there's no tariff if you build your plant and your product in America." His goal, he said, was to rebalance decades of offshoring that sent millions of U.S. manufacturing jobs abroad, and the policy is beginning to do exactly that. While critics argue that the tariffs can raise prices for consumers, supporters note that also creates strong incentives for domestic production, and recent corporate moves suggest the message is being heard loud and clear. The most dramatic example so far comes from Stellantis, the parent company of Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and others. In April, Stellantis temporarily paused production at two major assembly plants, one in Canada and one in Mexico, amid growing tariff costs and supply chain disruptions. Then, on October 14th, the company announced a stunning $13 billion investment to expand U.S. manufacturing, marking the largest single commitment in its history. The move included plans to expand facilities in Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, and to repurpose underused plants with a new hybrid and electric models. While Stellantis hasn't directly tied its decision to tariffs, the timing is very telling. And industry analysts note that the tariff exposure on cross-border parts and vehicles likely played a major role. The company's North American production mix has historically relied heavily on Canada and Mexico plants for lower labor costs, but tariffs have narrowed that advantage, and the UAW put a lot of pressure on them, and that's why they made that move in the past. When the cost difference between building in Windsor and building in Toledo shrinks, you start to see companies doing the math. Tariffs are effectively a relocation tax, and the ripple effect is across the entire industry. Stellantis is not alone. Ford, General Motors, and even foreign automakers with U.S. operations are reassessing how and where they build their vehicles. Some are accelerating plans to nearshore supply chains, moving critical components and manufacturing from Asia to Mexico or southern United States to limit tariff exposure and, of course, avoid the UAW by building in southern states. Others are exploring dual sourcing strategies, splitting production between domestic and foreign facilities to hedge the risk. According to AEG's analysis, U.S. imports of completed vehicles from Mexico have declined slightly since the reciprocal tariffs were announced, while domestic output has edged upward. That's precisely the outcome trade hawks have been aiming for. And this is exactly what President Trump was talking about. Still, not every auto manufacturer can easily adapt. Companies with smaller U.S. footprints or heavy reliance on imported components face some very tough decisions: absorb the cost, pass it on to consumers, or invest billions in new domestic infrastructure. Now, the real cost could come down to consumers. That all depends on the company. Tariffs can be a political flashpoint, but for consumers, the effects are straightforward: higher prices, at least in the short term. And that may change. Automakers typically pass along a portion of tariff costs through a modest price hike. On a $40,000 vehicle, even a 2 to 3% increase in parts costs can be around $800 to $1,200, and that will definitely change the final sticker price. But tariffs also create jobs and stimulate domestic investment and benefits that ripple through the broader economy, which allows people to buy more vehicles or more items, which improves the economy. When Stellantis spends $13 billion expanding U.S. facilities, that means new construction contracts, local supplier growth, and thousands of jobs in manufacturing towns that have struggled since the last wave of plant closures. It's a short-term cost for a long-term gain, and the one that many industry observers say could finally start reversing decades of offshoring. It is a balancing act for auto manufacturers that are walking a fine line between staying competitive globally and complying with evolving trade rules at home. For decades, North American production was built around the USMCA, United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, framework which replaced the NAFTA agreement. The agreement allows tariff-free trade between three countries, but only if vehicles meet strict rules of origin, requiring that a high percentage of the parts come from North America. Well, recent tariff expansions complicate that picture, and even when cars meet USMCA thresholds, they may still face additional duties under reciprocal trade tariffs. Even when cars meet USMCA thresholds, they may still face additional duties under the reciprocal tariffs or on a specific raw material like steel and aluminum. For automakers, that's like playing 3D chess, navigating overlapping trade rules, currency swings, and political shifts while keeping costs under control. The bigger picture, auto parts are under pressure, not just for new cars, but also for aftermarket parts. While major automakers have enough resources to adjust, smaller auto parts suppliers are in far more precarious position. The same week Anderson's report was released, analysts warn that auto parts bankruptcies are surging across the U.S., and a troubling trend for high-yield credit market. What that really means is the suppliers that were supplying car manufacturers may not be in business to do so. Many of these suppliers operate on razor-thin margins. When tariffs raise input costs by even a few percentage points, those increases can push small companies into insolvency. That in turn affects the entire supply chain. As suppliers close or consolidate, automakers face higher component prices and longer lead times. And for consumers, that can mean fewer affordable vehicles and longer wait times for vehicle repairs. And this is happening not just on the repair side, but also on the production side. So it's affecting the entire industry. But the question is, are tariffs working? The effectiveness of tariffs often depend on your perspective. Economists who favor free trade argue that tariffs distort markets and can backfire by increasing consumer prices or triggering retaliatory duties from trading partners. Supporters, however, point to early signs of manufacturing reshoring, new capital investments, and stronger domestic growth in industrial states. From that standpoint, tariffs are doing exactly what they were designed to do, making it more attractive to build in the United States and less profitable to rely on foreign manufacturing. We've heard for years that automakers can't afford to build here. That's what some policy analysts are saying, but now we're seeing they can, and that they're starting to do it. Lessons from the past? Well, the U.S. has used tariffs as a strategic tool before, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. And in the 1980s, the Reagan administration imposed voluntary export restraints on Japanese automakers to protect domestic manufacturing. At first, the move was controversial, but within a decade, many Japanese brands have built U.S. factories to avoid the quotas, creating tens of thousands of American jobs in states like Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Indiana, and many others. Tariffs and trade pressure, in other words, don't have to end globalization. They can redirect it. Instead of importing cars, companies can start building them where consumers are. Now, that doesn't work for every brand, obviously, but the future of the American auto manufacturing has some current trends, and they are continuing. America's auto industry could look very different by the end of the decade. This shift could help rebuild the American industrial base, but it will also test whether the U.S. can compete on cost, logistics, and labor flexibility against long-established global supply chains. The next big question is sustainability, not environmental, but economic. If tariffs continue at this scale, automakers will need to offset costs through automation, localizing supply chains, and maybe price increases. For now, the industry seems to be absorbing the shock without major layoffs or price spikes. But that could change if trade tensions escalate. We're hoping it doesn't. or if nations impose retaliatory duties. As for major elections in the future, tariff policy will likely remain front and center. Both policymakers and manufacturers know that the future of the U.S. auto industry and millions of jobs tied to it hangs in the balance. We want to keep the jobs here, we want to keep our economy growing, and we don't want to hurt other countries. We want them to grow and build product in their country for their people. The new era of tariffs isn't just a story about taxes or trade statistics. It's about how America defines economic independence. For decades, automakers built their strategies around global efficiency. Today, they're being pushed by policy, economics, and public sentiment to prioritize domestic resilience. And that may mean slightly higher prices at the dealership today, but it also means more factories, more jobs, more control over the country's industrial destiny tomorrow, and that could lower prices in the future. The $10 billion price tag may seem steep, but for an industry that helped define America's middle class, it might just be the cost of taking the driver's seat again. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this, and check out our car review channel, Car Smarts. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee, and if you want even more content, check out the links in the description. I'm Lauren Fix. Thank you so much for watching.